coming up. The Kalinago MP says the community's capacity building project is soaring. Government announces a corporate tax rebate for businesses hiring new employees, and GIS News talks with Laplaine's Topee on turning 102. Stay tuned for the details of these and other stories after this.
A lot of bathtubs are blamed for bruises. Some staircases are accused of being responsible for broken bones. Doors are occasionally viewed suspiciously as causing lesions. A high percentage of tables are accused of producing bleeding or trauma. Violence against women is a crime, and it's everyone's responsibility. It's inexcusable. If you're a victim or witness of physical or psychological violence or abuse, seek help and denounce the perpetrator.
The nation's finance minister, Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, in his 2014-2015 budget address, announced a rebate on corporate tax for businesses taking on new employees. This rebate is meant to complement the National Employment Program, which was launched last year. The Prime Minister explained that after the first 6 months, those who received job placements were assessed with favorable results, while several businesses where these interns are placed have also benefited from the additional human resource capacity. According to Honorable Skerrit, his government wishes to support those businesses which are willing to convert these interns and apprentices into full-time employees. Hence, a rebate to businesses who engage new hires during the period of August 1st, 2014 to July 31st, 2015 in the new first instance. The leader specified that for a business to qualify for a rebate, the new hires must be engaged in new jobs, not replacement, acting or temporary jobs. The rebate will be equivalent to 2% of the gross salary paid to a new hire. The maximum rebate per hire per 12-month period is set at $600, and the maximum rebate per employer is set at $6,000 per 12-month period. Companies will be required to inform the Inland Revenue Division when new people are hired. Since this initiative is new, government has also proposed to discuss it further with the private sector, so that that sector can avail itself of the benefits. The Prime Minister ended this announcement saying, quote, "When we speak of sustainable jobs, we speak about real opportunities, not pie-in-the-sky promises, but real and tangible opportunities that will benefit both the newly employed as well as the private sector." End of quote. And in other news, the parliamentary representative for the Roseau Valley constituency, Honorable Dr. Colin McIntyre, is pleased with the progress of work on the T2 Gorge Enhancement project. He describes it as a necessary upgrade for the T2 Gorge facility.
I look at this project as a major project, a project which will help to enhance some of the facilities we have there, which is the shelter and the change room, and of course the little restaurant we'd like to develop there. Of course, you'll see classical signs of the National Employment Program in that area as well too. Anyone who visit that area, they would see the stonework which was carried out on the facility itself, which was paid for a training program which is called Traditional Stone Cutting and Placement, which has helped to build and really create a sort of a beautiful type of building, looking at using the local resources, of course, which is stone, and of course complements the National Employment Program, which continues to make inroads into really taking care of lowering unemployment in Dominica and creating employment for our people. This project again, the T2 Gorge crossing here, is a project under the Ministry of Tourism. It's all aimed at building and beautifying and providing the necessary infrastructure so that our local as well visitors as well as our foreign visitors can really visit T2 Gorge and enjoy it, and ease of access is going to be a major improvement.
The parliamentary representative says the T2 Gorge crossing is also aimed at beautifying and promoting the necessary infrastructure so that locals as well as foreigners can enjoy the site. The contract for an access road and bridge to the facility was signed on Monday and will cost over $269,000. Contrary to some beliefs, the Kalinago territory is not on the back burner. This according to Honorable Parliamentary Representative for the Kalinago Territory constituency Ashton Grano, who was speaking at the 8th inaugural meeting of the Carib Council last Friday. Honorable Grano stood in solidarity with the Honorable Prime Minister's representative, Honorable Ambrose George, stating that the territory has seen significant development under the Dominica Labour Party administration, nearing its zenith, the government's capacity building project. According to the Honorable Parliamentary Representative, the Kalinago Territory Community Capacity Building Project is now soaring with its completed components such as the house retrofitting program and institutional training.
The house retrofit program trained over 30 individuals from the Kalinago Territory. One woman among them. I was happy that we could have a woman who would come up and learn to use nail and hammer to cut wood and to fit and to retrofit buildings to make them stronger to withstand hurricanes and storms. That program, or that component of the program, was also completed. The institutional strengthening, which provided members of the Kalinago Council, members of the workers in at KDC, at KBA, members of the Hamlet Development Committees, leaders of cultural organizations and other NGOs, all these people were allowed an opportunity to get training under this project, under this component of the project. Their capacity was enhanced and improved.
According to Honorable Grano, under the capacity building project, 99% of the access road into Concord has been completed at a cost of $1.8 million.
That's money spent there. Yes, you may have had let us say, a national contractor, but there were some Kalinagos working on this road. So the short-term employment effect would be good. Now, this road was part of the road, the southern section of the Horseback Ridge Road was rehabilitated. And a new piece of road was cut into Tuna Village to allow for access, not only to Tuna, but for a number of things. Because Tuna before now would have been accessed through Pegua, passing through Atkinson. And you would have spent about half an hour driving or more into Tuna. Now it takes just about 10 minutes to get into Tuna Village. Now there is potential in Tuna. But outside of Tuna, there's also potential right along the road. Because the impact of that road will allow for agricultural expansion, village expansion. It will allow for opportunities for entrepreneurs to invest alongside the road.
Some of the other components of the project to be completed include the Sensi Resource Center and the cassava processing plant. The project is funded through a loan from the Caribbean Development Bank on behalf of the Kalinago people. The Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said at the project's launching in January 2009 that this is the largest single infrastructural investment to date in the Kalinago territory, an estimated $8.6 million. And in more news, as the case against 5 police officers recently charged with the death of Joshua Etienne of Picard, Portsmouth unfolds, Attorney General Honorable Levi Peter seeks to clarify court proceedings for the benefit of the general public. On August 26, a High Court judge granted leave for judicial review in the matter, amidst speculation that this decision may mean a delay in proceedings and other misconceptions. The Attorney General explains exactly what judicial review means.
1. Judicial review is concerned not with the decision, but with the decision-making process. That's one concept of it. Second, and this is a quotation from a learned judge, in which he stated, judicial review, as the words imply, is not an appeal from a decision, but a review of the manner in which the decision was made. Thirdly, another judicial quote the function of the High Court on an application for judicial review is limited to determining whether or not the impugned decision was legal, not whether or not it was correct. And then the court continues, the freedom to exercise a discretion necessarily entails freedom to get it wrong. This does not make the decision unlawful.
He says a judicial review is not concerned with whether or not the proceedings in the matter were right or wrong, but whether they are lawful.
The fact that a person died, the fact, if it's proved to be that person may have died from causes other than natural causes, or indeed may have been murdered, those are not issues that the judicial review process will concern itself with. What is being challenged is, or the claim that's being made is that the charge, in essence, is premature. That, in other words, what I understand the applicants in the judicial review proceedings to be saying and inviting the court to find is that the prosecuting authorities in law cannot proceed to charge a person, in this instance obviously the accused, for murder, where an inquest has not been commenced and concluded. That is, as I understand, their position. Broadly, obviously there are other issues, but that is, as I understand, the substantive issue.
According to the timetable set by the judge, the applicants are to file their claim within 14 days of the decision. Within 10 days of being served with that claim, the state is to reply. The first hearing in the matter is set for September 24, 2014. He says the public should deal with the facts and focus on what is actually happening as opposed to relying on hearsay. The Attorney General says he is confident that the matter is being dealt with expeditiously and is satisfied that justice will prevail.
Within a week or within 7 days of Mr. Etienne's untimely death, 5 officers were charged with murder. I think that's indicative of the authorities taking the matter extremely seriously and acting very quickly. And we all want answers. And certainly speaking for myself and the Office of the Attorney General, and as far as I'm aware from my discussions with the Director of Public Prosecutions and personnel there, and indeed the police, all of those state entities are clear in their focus that the intention is to prosecute this matter in the quickest possible time, recognizing the need for justice and fairness for all parties, the deceased family, the general public, and of course those who are accused.
Honorable Peter again assured that the state will do all in its power to expedite the matter.
What I can guarantee is that I, as Attorney General, and the Office of the Attorney General will do everything in our power to progress the matter as quickly as possible. So far, it appears that that we can be optimistic in terms of the speed within which the matter was first considered when it came before the court on the 19th, and the speed with which the judge gave his decision, and as you've just indicated, the clear timetable in terms of directions that has been given up to now.
Also this week, Dominica is taking steps to finalize its country document to identify key actions for disaster risk reduction, planning for Dominica. A national validation workshop was held on Thursday to gain insight from stakeholders. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Labor and Immigration, Gerard Jean-Jacques, made reference to the flooding of December 24, 2013, when he stated that information must be clearly communicated and understandable.
The sea swells would be about 3 feet. What is a sea swell? I understand. What does that mean when you say 5 millimeters of rain? What does that look like? What could that mean? Does that mean that my step will be flooded? Does that mean that 5 millimeters of rain could cause a landslide in an area such as X, Y, and Z? you find a language that the man on the ground can understand so that our 2 days here and the ladies' presence here wouldn't have been wasted. We want action. I am looking for a document that we can work with.
This is just one of the effects that the country document will seek to mitigate. The country document's purpose is to provide a comprehensive overview of the status of disaster risk reduction in Dominica, the progress made in reducing risk, the definition of priorities and strategies, as well as the economic, social, and environmental impacts that the risks generate. At the end of the workshop, it is hoped that the document can be finalized based on the comments and recommendations provided during the workshop. Participants include the Ministry of Health, the Office of Disaster Management, the Dominica Air and Seaport Authority (DASPA), the Environment Health Unit, the Social Welfare Division, and the National Bank of Dominica. Up to 40 participants are expected throughout the 2-day workshop. The National Youth Council of Dominica, NYCD, is now fully equipped to execute its media duties with the attainment of new equipment for its media team. On Thursday, 28th, at a ceremony at the Calypso House in Bath Estate, the Honorable Minister for Information and Telecommunication, Ambrose George, stated that he saw it fit for his ministry to lend a helping hand to the NYCD. He acknowledged the importance of technology and communication among youth.
Having such an understanding of the exuberant and gregarious nature of the youthfulness of the young, and even knowing the biblical adage, and I quote, "Let no one despise your youth," unquote, it became natural for me to assist in such a worthwhile venture when approached to help mobilize support in sourcing financial resources for the procurement of much-needed equipment for the NYC's media team. I am delighted that you have developed an in-house media team with indigenous skills for use with as many of the social media available and at your disposal.
In March 2014, the Ministry of Information, Telecommunication and Constituency Empowerment donated $11,380 to the Council for the purchase of equipment for its media team. President of the NYCD, Josiah Benoit, says the equipment will greatly assist the media team to more efficiently broaden its scope of work.
And so, having procured these equipments, computers, cameras, mics, and various storage devices, we know that we can now better capture the work that the young people across Dominica, not just the National Youth Council directly, but in many different organizations, like Planned Parenthood, especially the Youth Development Division, the Drug Prevention Unit, the HIV Prevention Unit. We can strengthen the partnership between our organizations and actually provide a service in thanks to them for the many years of training and many opportunities they have provided for us. So we are very thankful for this assistance. And the interesting thing is that when you take a step, you realize how quickly you can move to the next. And so Mr. George, armed with these basic equipments, we now see that if we could just have a few more items, how far we could reach.
The equipment, which was sourced from abroad, arrived on island in July this year. The NYCD is currently conducting a series of training workshops to ensure that every member of its media team becomes competent in the use of this new work material. The NYCD media team was officially launched in February 2014 with the aim of empowering a cadre of youth to produce material focusing on youth empowerment. Its media platforms currently include the Youth Camera Action Program on Mapping 2K4, radio platforms, Youth Can Move and Youth Vibes, a Facebook page, a Dominican News Online page, a Twitter account, a YouTube channel, a blog, and a website. And finally, on June 15, 2012, GIS News was with Anastasia Beldrina Uzeb, fondly known as Ma Topee, when she turned 100 in the community where she grew up, Laplaine. At the time, Ma Topee was the year's 15th centenarian, and the burning question on everyone's mind was the secret to longevity, which this island clearly owns. 2 years and 2 months later, Topee is 102 and as vivacious as ever. GIS News and Honorable Peter Tasia, parliamentary representative for the Laplaine constituency, sat with Topee in her home last weekend to chat. She reflected on her daily life in those early days after her birth in 1912 and her diet then and now.
Mon te ka levé bon matin. Mon ka prend un petit canne, quoi ça va un casco, mais casco a gâté actuellement. C'est pour te lever 5 heures bon matin. Mon fait 10 enfants ici. Mon entré ici 1944. 22nd of August 1944. Ici. Mon te ka levé bon matin. C'est pour te passer un petit canne. Ah, dans ce petit monde, pas te ka juste les bouillir. Bah, yo, il fouet. Pour nous mettre les bouillir. Grager petit morceau de coco. Faire un petit lait pour mettre dans le café. C'était petit café mocha. Pendant que café, yo ka passer canne. Mon ka plus petit figue là, pour fan côté ça, tirer la pour ça, mettre les bouillir. Le white sweet. Nous pas que jeter de l'eau figue là ou ça. Actuellement, on dit, si je pas ni, toute bagaille. Moi, bien content, je vieux casier pour je bouillir de l'eau chaud. Je vieux bouillir de l'eau chaud. Je vais appeler le monde boire de l'eau frette. Juste aujourd'hui, à m'aller de l'eau ice ou ça. Je vais boire de l'eau ice, je vais mettre bagaille en ice. Moi, j'ai dit enfants, moi, pas mettre bagaille en ice, bon, moi. Je vais lever bon matin, je vais bouillir chaud de pain. Mon cas veille chaud de l'eau puis yam pain puis pas chasse. Là où mon way un petit manier. Mon cas prend pied long, mon cas hacha dans chaud, on l'autre petit chaudier, mon cas vider de l'eau manger à dedans. Mon cas piler 4 champagne, ma cas doué c'est où ça yam pilon mon chaudier. Pas ni l'huile là-dedans, pas ni graisse là-dedans, pas ni rien là-dedans. Là mon fini mon cas dit auto sort quoi pas plus bien déjeuner passer bon. Là, ça, c'était au roi qui était carré. On a dit au roi, pas bien déjeuner passément. J'ai aujourd'hui malé de l'eau ice, macabre de l'eau ice.
A large part of Topee's life was her work. Back in 2012, she touted hard work as one of the best ways to live a long and healthy life. She spent 36 years working to feed her family at the Laplaine Agriculture Center.
Moi, travaille comme ça. Et puis, non, pas de ni manger d'achine, chou, banane, figue. Ma j'ai planté figue. Mais où est banane, où est chou, où est babaoulé, où est yam. Il était tenu 3 mois depuis McPherson il était ici. C'est mon nom qui a pris la madame, il la reconnaître. Moi, il dit, Madame Topee, vous êtes tranquille, garçon. Là, Madame, ça a été arrivé bon la place. On y baille là, ça. Tout le monde a fait le bail pour venir gagner. Ça, moi, travaille comme bouic. Moi, travaille raide.
Of her 10 children with her husband, 5 died and then leaving her to raise her remaining 3 boys and 2 girls alone. She recalls having only 1 shilling to bury her husband at the time and being unable to provide a real formal education for her children. This is how Topee responded to her friend and MP, Honorable Peter Tasia, when he asked her to compare life then and now.
Les monter ça, monter descendre, travail, moi-même quand il tapé, monter esclave. Mais je ne pas comprendre cette histoire parce que je pense que c'est bien pour moi. Mais journée aujourd'hui, mon cas où monter esclave, mais mon aujourd'hui, trop bien merci. Mon aujourd'hui, bien merci. Yo bien merci. Scientifique, qu'a dit moi, gouvernement ça qui la, mais dans ça dit moi ça. Scientifique la plaine, qui dit mon gouvernement ça qui la actuellement qu'a harass quoi qu'a ba scientifique la plaine pension.
Clearly, 2 years after turning 100, Topee remains a very active and opinionated national treasure. Her parting words?
Moi-même bien content. C'est pas aujourd'hui à monter les 10 que je suis, mais pourquoi tu es venu pour monter ça, tu n'as pas de chance pour m'en dire rien. Mais Ministre ça qui la ministre mon Laplaine et puis ministre gouvernement Dominique. Ma ça aussi qui content mon faire ça. In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, God will bless them till the end of the everlasting life of them. They are there, but they have a strong living before they leave this world and go.
And that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, des projets de développement communautaire qui bâtis en constituency Rosso Sud. Parole celle-là sortie du Parlement, Honorable Ambrose George.
Nous avons des projets nous avons identifiés pour faire tout de suite. Ça c'est un pont. C'est un pont pour à pied. Center Street avec Back Street. C'est un pont qui fait plusieurs années, right? Mais il y a une place qui a détérioré, qui l'a rangé. So nous avons tiré plateforme là c'est métal. Nous avons mis une concrete plateforme pour faire plus fort pour un service pour ces gens là qui les passent Center Street avec Back Street pour communiquer. OK? Avec l'autre projet nous c'est là où on va tuer Lower Monbrose, Monbrose Road. Il y a une section à Solaria qui est bien étroite et petit. So nous les grandi place so là où on passer avec voiture et qui fait plus safe pour ces gens là qui passagers à ces voitures gens là qui à pied parce que c'est un puits qui il servi en place qui est dangereux. So nous les fait ça avec pour mener plus calmement c'est l'idée là où on drive parce que c'est une place nous les manger tout de suite aussi.
En autre nouvelle, un workshop qui a mis attention à ces désastres qui a en place en Dominique pour 2 jours semaine cela. Plusieurs officiers de divers départements et secteurs privés qui attendaient workshop là qui a en place en ODM, ça c'est l'Office des Arts Enhancement. Selon officier programme Steve Joseph, workshop là qui a identifié divers aspects, mettait un document ensemble pour mitigation des désastres.
Nous avons regardé pour développer un document à Dominique, pour pays Dominique, pour garder désastre, un profile désastre pour Dominique. Ça c'est important parce que ça a établi priorité pour nous faire différentes actions, pour nous mener bagaille qui affectent nous en contrôle. Différentes agences qui travaillent en disaster management, mais il y a un document pour aider vous à faire priorité. Avec Dominique, c'est une place à ce pays-là qui est bien vulnérable. Différents bagailles nous pour affecter nous, comme cyclone, nous avons 9 volcans. Nous déjà connaissons Hurricane David, l'année ça c'est 35 l'année anniversaire. L'année ça c'est 10 l'année depuis nous tenons tremblement de terre qui croisé Chapelle Gontance. Comme ça bien important pour nous. Nous connaissons ça qui fait l'année passée en décembre. Il partait même saison cyclone. Avait monté affecté tout en réseau avec aujourd'hui là nous avons discuté comment nous avons attaquer mener bagaille désastre à plus contrôle pour nous faire certain que mon point bagaille désastre plus important.
En d'autres nouvelles, ministre signé contrat pour augmenter facilité titre Gorge. Parole cela sorti hod CTO Ça c'est Chief Technical Officer, Ministre Tourist, M. Edward Henderson.
Ça nous a fait un pont pour moun sa jambe la faire sans aller en gloire. Puis ça nous a présenté un pipe d'homme like mettre là pour charger gloire. Avec yon en qualité pont en l'air, mais ça pas safe. So nous avons try faire un pont pour moun sa rentrer là sans mouiller. Avec si nous en emergency, moun ambulance a venir là, tirer moun là sorti. Avec nous avons une facilité là pour moun changer radio pour aller un petit tout gorge pour prendre un petit bain. Là yo viwe pour changer radio encore. Avec nous les toilettes là, nous les un petit cuisine, un petit restaurant, so moun sa van, moun en place là qui manager là. Avec yo qui fait business yo. Mais qualité toilette là qui là nous passe un septic tank pour bagay là aller live, so nous avons special qualité septic tank. Après 2 mois, 3 mois, nous avons pour couiller en compagnie pour venir tirer ça qui est dedans pour aller jeter. So nous poussons chimer ça ever pour ça pour faire ça.
Et puis finalement, National Employment Program Kaba Femme Constituency Gouan font pouvoir pour assister à eux. Parole celle-là sortie du Parlement, Honorable Ivor Stevenson.
C'est comme ça qu'a sorti hot mon John et qu'a sorti hot live sucre et puis grand fond et puis mon savent le temps ça a commencé là il commencé travail donc en défense dans la vie yo que ça petit bill yo like bill yo fait commission sans yo ou était sans l'argent mais ça pas mine pour dire là yo taper ça si you tenez l'autre income pour you acid là et puis dit actuellement on est salarié ça c'est un programme là qui nous avons aidé vous, vous travaillez et puis vous servir l'argent pour aider pour faire la vie meilleure.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson Luce. Au revoir.
Coming up next, your daily tip.
The WASCO recognizes that clean water is vital to healthy living. Therefore, it spares no effort in providing a clean, safe, and reliable system. Help keep our rivers safe and clean. Do not cut trees along the river banks and do not pollute with garbage, human or animal feces, and chemicals. Think water, think life.
It's hard to recognize your own passive-aggressive behavior, but if we don't confront it, it breeds mistrust and erodes our credibility. When was the last time you didn't share your honest opinion when asked? Or the last time you got upset with someone and didn't let that person know why? Or maybe you procrastinated on an assignment because you didn't see the value in it. If you are passive-aggressive, you need to confront it. Here are a few tips. First, identify what drives you to be passive-aggressive. Understanding the underlying cause, maybe a fear of failure or rejection or conflict, allows you to address it head-on. Then, be honest with yourself about what you really want. What do you truly think or really want to say? What outcome are you hoping for? Think about how to express those desires in a direct but respectful way. And finally, get input from others to see if you are improving. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website, news.gov.dm. Like us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire GIS News production team, I'm Tasia Floissac. Thanks for watching.